What if everything you were taught about being a good person is the very reason you keep losing in life? What if honesty makes you predictable, kindness makes you exploitable, and trust makes you weak? In a world driven not by fairness, but by hidden agendas, most people walk blindly, believing in rules that powerful men never follow. Tonight you will see the game for what it truly is, and more importantly, you will learn how to win it. Law 1: control perception, not reality. Men do not live in truth, they live in interpretation. You may possess strength, intelligence, and virtue, but if none of it is seen, it does not exist in the eyes of the world. Reality is irrelevant without perception. The crowd does not investigate deeply. It judges quickly, emotionally, and often incorrectly. And yet, those judgments shape your fate. Understand this clearly. People respond not to who you are, but to who they believe you are. A weak man who appears confident will command more respect than a capable man who appears uncertain. A leader who looks decisive will be followed, even if his decisions are flawed. Appearance creates authority long before truth confirms it. Therefore, craft your image deliberately. Speak with certainty, even when you calculate internally. Dress, posture, tone, these are not trivial details, they are instruments of influence. Let others see what benefits you, not what exposes you. But beware, this is not about deception alone. It is about selective revelation. Show enough truth to remain believable, but never enough to become vulnerable. The world is a stage where perception is the script, and those who control the script control the outcome. Master this law, and you will realize something unsettling. You do not need to become powerful. You only need to be seen as powerful. Law 2: conceal your intentions. When a man reveals his plan, he surrenders his advantage. Clarity is a weapon, but only when it is yours alone. The moment others understand your direction, they begin to interfere. Some will resist you, others will compete with you. Even allies may unconsciously disrupt what they now see. Transparency invites opposition. Therefore, learn the art of concealment, not through lies, but through ambiguity. Speak in ways that suggest movement, but never reveal destination. Allow others to believe they understand you, while in truth, they only see shadows of your intent. This creates comfort in them and control for you. The most dangerous opponent is not the one who attacks openly, but the one who appears harmless while advancing silently. Consider this: a hunter does not announce his strategy to the prey. He moves quietly, blending into the environment, striking only when success is certain. You must do the same. This does not mean you live in constant secrecy. It means you reveal information strategically. Offer enough to maintain trust, but never enough to lose advantage. Remember, people cannot resist what they do not see coming. And by the time they understand your intention, it must already be too late. Law 3: exploit human nature to control the game. You must first understand the players. And nothing is more predictable than human nature. Men believe themselves rational, but they are driven by invisible forces: fear, desire, pride, insecurity, and the desperate need for validation. These emotions shape decisions far more than logic ever could. A man will betray reason to protect his ego. He will ignore truth to satisfy desire. He will follow weakness disguised as comfort, and yet he will call it choice. This is your advantage. Observe carefully. Every individual reveals their weakness, not through what they hide, but through what they pursue. The man who constantly speaks of loyalty often fears betrayal. The one who seeks power relentlessly often feels powerless inside. Find the hunger and you find control. But use this knowledge with precision. Do not attack directly. Instead, align yourself with their desires. Make them believe your path is their path. When people think they are acting in their own interest, they become easy to guide. You are not forcing them, you are simply giving their nature direction. This is the essence of power. You do not change people. You use them exactly as they are. Law 4, make others depend on you. Power is not in independence, it is in necessity. A man who can walk away from you cannot be controlled, but a man who needs you, whether for success, validation, or survival, becomes bound to you in ways he does not fully understand. Dependency creates silent obedience. This is why the most powerful individuals do not merely compete. They position themselves as essential. They become the bridge others must cross, the resource others cannot replace, the solution others cannot ignore. If you are easily replaced, you are easily removed. So ask yourself, what do you provide that others cannot? It may be skill, it may be knowledge, it may be influence, or it may be emotional leverage, the ability to make others feel understood, valued, or empowered. Once dependency is established, control becomes effortless. People will protect you, defend you, and even sacrifice for you, because losing you would mean losing something they cannot afford. But caution is required. Never allow dependency to become resentment. If people feel trapped, they will seek escape. Instead, make dependence feel like opportunity. Let them believe they are gaining more than they are giving. In truth, they are giving you control. Law 5, use fear, not love. Love is a fragile bond. It depends on emotions, and emotion changes. Fear, however, is constant. A man who is loved today may be abandoned tomorrow when circumstances shift. But a man who is feared creates a boundary, an invisible line others dare not cross. Fear does not require affection. It requires consequence. Yet understand this distinction clearly. Fear must never become hatred. Hatred inspires rebellion. Fear inspires obedience. The difference lies in control. If your actions feel unjust, unpredictable, or cruel without reason, people will not simply fear you, they will unite against you. But if your severity appears calculated, fair, and necessary, people will submit even while resenting you. The skilled ruler balances both, offer glimpses of fairness, even generosity, but ensure that the possibility of punishment is always present. People must believe that crossing you carries a cost they cannot afford. You are not seeking to be admired. You are ensuring that you are never ignored, because in the end respect built on fear lasts longer than affection built on illusion. Law 6, eliminate threats completely. Half measures create future enemies. When you confront a threat and fail to end it completely, you do not weaken it, you transform it. You give it time to recover, adapt, and return with greater force. A defeated enemy remembers, a destroyed enemy does not. Mercy, when applied without foresight, becomes self-sabotage. This does not mean cruelty, it means clarity. If someone has both the intention and the capacity to harm you, leaving them partially intact is an invitation to your own downfall. History is filled with those who hesitated and paid the price later. However, complete elimination is not always physical. It may be reputational, strategic, or psychological. You can dismantle influence, isolate alliances, or remove opportunities until the threat no longer exists in any meaningful form. The key is finality, no loose ends, no silent resentment waiting in the shadows. When you act in a way that removes the possibility of return. Because the greatest mistake is not creating enemies, it is leaving them alive enough to strike again. Law 7. Master timing. Action alone does not create power. Timing does. The same decision, executed too early, appears reckless. Executed too late, it becomes irrelevant. But executed at the precise moment when conditions align, when resistance is weakest, when attention is highest, it becomes unstoppable. Patience is not weakness, it is preparation. Most people act from urgency. They rush to speak, to move, to respond, driven by emotion or fear of missing opportunity. In doing so, they reveal themselves, exhaust themselves, and often fail. You must do the opposite. Observe. Wait. Let others expose their positions. Let them make mistakes. Let the environment shape itself. Then strike decisively. Timing is also psychological. People are more vulnerable in moments of uncertainty, transition, or emotional imbalance. Influence them then, not when they are stable and guarded. A single well-timed move can achieve what 100 forced actions cannot. Remember, the patient strategist does not chase the moment. He creates it. Law 8. Win through others' efforts. Effort is visible. Ownership is not. Fools exhaust themselves chasing recognition through labor. They believe that hard work alone earns power. But power is not given to those who work the hardest. It is claimed by those who position themselves the smartest. Let others struggle, build, and compete. You observe, you guide subtly, and when the moment arrives, you step forward and claim the result. This is not theft, it is strategy. The architect is remembered, not the laborers who carried the stone. Learn to delegate, to influence, to align others' ambitions with your own. Make them believe they are working toward their goals, while their efforts quietly serve yours. Credit is not always about truth. It is about visibility and narrative. Ensure your name is attached to success, even if your role was unseen. But do not become idle. Your role is orchestration, not laziness. You must understand the system well enough to direct it without being consumed by it. In the end, those who do everything themselves remain limited. Those who use others expand without limit. Law 9. Adapt like water. Rigidity is the beginning of defeat. A man who refuses to change, no matter how strong he appears, will eventually break under pressure. Circumstances shift, environments evolve, and those who cling to a single way of thinking become predictable and therefore vulnerable. Water does not resist the shape of its container. It adapts, and in doing so, it survives everything. You must become the same. In one moment, be calm and patient. In another, decisive and aggressive. Adjust your tone, your strategy, your approach, based on what the situation demands, not what your ego prefers. This is not inconsistency, it is intelligence. People often mistake flexibility for weakness. In truth, it is the highest form of strength, because it allows you to move where others cannot, to respond where others freeze, and to endure where others collapse. Adaptation also creates confusion in your opponents. They cannot predict you, cannot prepare for you, cannot control you. And what cannot be controlled cannot be defeated. Law 10. Hide strength behind weakness. Visible strength invites resistance. The moment others perceive you as powerful, they begin to guard themselves. They question your intentions, limit your access, and sometimes unite against you. But weakness disarms. When you appear harmless, people relax. They reveal more than they should. They underestimate you, and in that moment of lowered defense, you gain access to their true nature. This is your advantage. To hide strength is not to deny it. It is to protect it. A skilled strategist knows when to step forward and when to step back, when to display capability and when to conceal it behind humility or simplicity. Let others believe they are ahead. Let them feel superior. Confidence without display is far more dangerous than confidence that demands attention, because when the moment comes to act, they will not see it coming, and by the time they recognize your strength, it will already be too late to respond. Law 11. Use silence as a weapon. Words reveal, silence conceals. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it with explanations, justifications, or unnecessary truths. In doing so, they expose their thoughts, their intentions, and their weaknesses. You must learn to remain still. Silence creates tension. It forces others to speak, to explain, to reveal more than they intended. In conversation, the one who speaks less often controls more. It also creates mystery. People project meaning onto silence. They assume depth, confidence, or authority where there may simply be restraint. And this perception works in your favor. Silence is not absence. It is presence without exposure. Use it in negotiation. Use it in conflict. Use it when others expect a reaction from you. Let them wonder. Let them question. Because uncertainty gives you power. And in a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, the one who chooses silence becomes impossible to read, and therefore impossible to control. Law 12. Appeal to self. Interest. Loyalty is an illusion. People do not act for you. They act for themselves. Even the most devoted ally is guided by personal benefit, whether it is material, emotional, or psychological. Ignore this truth and you will be disappointed. Understand it and you will gain influence. Do not ask for support based on trust, friendship, or morality. Offer value. Show people what they gain by aligning with you. Make the outcome beneficial for them, not just for you. When their success becomes connected to yours, they will act with enthusiasm rather than obligation. This is how you create alignment without force. Never rely on promises alone. Structure situations where cooperation is the most rewarding option available. Remove alternatives quietly, so that following you feels like the natural choice. In this way, you do not command people. You guide them, and because they believe they are acting in their own interest, they will commit more deeply than if they were ever simply told what to do. Law 13. Control. The narrative truth is rarely what matters. What matters is what people believe to be true. Events themselves are neutral. They carry no meaning until someone gives them one, and the one who defines that meaning controls perception, judgment, and ultimately power. If you do not shape the narrative, someone else will, and their version may not favor you. Learn to frame every situation before others can interpret it. When you succeed, ensure the story highlights your intelligence. When you fail, redirect the narrative toward external factors, lessons learned, or future strength. People do not investigate deeply. They accept the most compelling version presented to them first. Repetition strengthens belief. Confidence reinforces it. Simplicity spreads it. You are not lying. You are guiding interpretation. History itself is nothing more than narratives agreed upon over time. Control the story and you control how the world remembers you. Law 14. Be unpredictable. Predictability is comfort, and comfort is weakness. When people can anticipate your actions, they prepare for you. They adjust defend, and eventually neutralize your influence. But when your behavior becomes difficult to read, uncertainty begins to work in your favor. Unpredictability creates hesitation. Hesitation creates opportunity. This does not mean acting randomly. It means breaking patterns just enough to keep others unsettled. One moment you are calm, the next decisive. One moment you agree, the next you withdraw. People begin to question, what will he do next? And in that question, they lose control. Even a stronger opponent becomes cautious when they cannot predict your next move, but balance is essential. Total chaos destroys trust. Controlled unpredictability creates respect. Be consistent in your purpose, but flexible in your actions. Let others chase stability. You become the variable they cannot solve. Law 15. Destroy indirectly. The most effective battle is the one no one sees. Direct confrontation invites resistance. It creates clear enemies, clear sides, and unnecessary risk. But indirect strategy operates in shadows, subtle, quiet, and often unnoticed until it is complete. Why fight when you can weaken? Why attack when you can influence, shift alliances, redirect attention, introduce doubt? Allow circumstances to work against your opponent without your presence being obvious. A man who is defeated publicly may rise again with pride, but a man who collapses under invisible pressure rarely understands what destroyed him. This is the elegance of indirect power. You conserve energy, you minimize exposure, and you achieve results without appearing responsible. Let others believe outcomes are natural, inevitable, or self-inflicted, because the less they see your hand, the less they can fight it. Law 16. Reward and punish strategically. Power is remembered through impact. If your rewards are forgettable, they lose value. If your punishments are weak, they invite defiance. You must be deliberate. Reward in a way that creates loyalty, make it meaningful, visible, and tied directly to behavior you wish to encourage. Let others see that alignment with you brings advantage, but when it comes to punishment, be precise. Not excessive, not emotional, but undeniable. A single well-placed consequence, delivered with clarity, echoes louder than repeated warnings. It sets a standard that others will not test. Consistency is key. If your responses are unpredictable in fairness, people lose respect. But if they understand the rules, even harsh ones, they adapt. You are not reacting, you are shaping behavior. In time, you will notice something powerful. You no longer need to punish often. The memory of consequence will act in your place. Law 17. Trust no one fully. Trust is not a foundation. It is a risk. People change, circumstances shift. Loyalties bend under pressure. The man who swears loyalty today may betray you tomorrow, not always out of malice, but out of self-interest. This is not cynicism, it is awareness. Trust selectively, verify constantly. Never place yourself in a position where your success depends entirely on another's consistency. Even allies must be observed. This does not mean isolation, it means control. Maintain relationships, build alliances, cooperate when necessary, but always preserve independence in your thinking and your position. Give trust in measured amounts, never completely, because complete trust creates blind spots, and blind spots are where betrayal begins. The strongest position is not one where you trust everyone, but one where you are prepared for anyone. Law 18. Stay emotionally detached. Emotion clouds vision. Anger rushes decisions. Fear limits action. Desire distorts judgment. A man ruled by emotion becomes predictable, easily provoked, easily manipulated, easily defeated. You must rise above it. This does not mean you feel nothing. It means you are not controlled by what you feel. Observe situations as they are, not as they appear through emotional reaction. When others lose control, you gain advantage. When they react impulsively, you respond strategically. Emotional detachment creates clarity, and clarity creates power. In moments of tension, remain calm. In moments of success, remain composed. Do not let victory make you careless, nor defeat make you desperate. The world will test your reactions. Your strength lies in not giving it the reaction it expects, because the man who controls himself cannot be controlled by others. Law 19. Create controlled chaos. Order creates comfort. Too much comfort creates stagnation. When people feel completely stable, they stop questioning, stop adapting, and stop depending on you. But introduce controlled instability, and suddenly they look for direction, your direction. Disrupt patterns just enough to keep others alert. Change dynamics, shift expectations, create moments where certainty disappears, and then position yourself as the solution. This is controlled chaos, not destruction but calculated disruption. You are not removing order, you are redefining it. People will seek stability in uncertain environments. If you become the one who restores balance, your influence deepens. But control is everything. Too much chaos, and you lose authority. Too little, and you become irrelevant. The balance lies in this. Disturb the ground beneath them, then offer the only solid ground they can stand on. Law 20. Do not outshine too soon. Power revealed too early is power destroyed. When you rise too quickly, display too much ability, or draw too much attention, you trigger insecurity in those above you. And insecurity in power often leads to suppression. A superior who feels threatened will not admire you. He will remove you. Therefore, advance quietly. Let others underestimate you. Allow those above you to feel secure, even superior. Appear supportive, appear loyal, while you grow. Power that develops in silence becomes far more dangerous than power that demands recognition. Timing matters here as well. Reveal your strength only when you are in a position where it cannot be easily taken from you. Until then, patience is protection, because survival is not about proving your power. It is about preserving it until the moment it becomes untouchable. Law 21. Know when to break the rules. Rules are designed for order, but power exists beyond order. A man who follows every rule becomes predictable, limited, contained within boundaries created by others. But a man who understands when to step outside those boundaries gains access to opportunities others will never see. This is not recklessness, it is calculated defiance. You must first understand the rules deeply, only then can you recognize when they no longer serve you. When following them leads to limitation instead of progress. At that moment you break them, not loudly, not carelessly, but precisely. Those who cling to rules will hesitate. They will question. They will wait for permission. You will already be ahead. True mastery is not obedience. It is awareness of when obedience becomes weakness. Because, in the end, the most powerful individuals are not those who follow the system. They are the ones who know exactly when to step beyond it and reshape it in their favor. Final thought, as Niccolò Machiavelli would remind you, the world has always been a game of perception, control, and silent strategy. Most people play it unconsciously. A few learn the rules, but only the rare learn how to bend them.